Welcome back to MCOC AlBundyRules. I've had a lot of requests recently for a little thing on how to beat KORC. So I got a couple fights here using 3 stars against an R3 6-star. First off, champs that use energy damage is best because that's going to minimize the thorns damage you take. You won't get thorns damage when you attack with other than light attacks if you are using an energy based attacker. So champs like that are good. Mutant work good too, as they take a little less damage on those thorns attacks too when you're attacking into him when his shield is up. Be careful while that shield is up, because as we see right there, he can restore or purify that stun. So if you think you're stunning him and go to attack, he can punish you. So I like to wait like a little millisecond. So when I'm trying to stun him when he has the shield up, I wait like a millisecond and see if he attacks me, and then try to punish him, or I will go in as the stun's long enough to wait that millisecond. So that will be key there, especially with that awoke ability to where he can just purify that. Do not hit into the block and avoid dexterity. Dexterity can cause him to go unblockable, unstoppable, and hitting into the block can get you punished as well. Watch the timing here. Just as the foot is hitting the ground, I just dex back 3 times heavily. So for obviously dex the boot too if you can. And then after that, just as that foot's hitting the ground, watch right here, boom, dex, dex, dexed. And it's missing just as it's hitting the ground. Like a millisecond before it hits the ground, I'm starting my dex. Here S3s are good because this can break all of his rock stacks. Sometimes I'll wait until he's full on rock stacks to launch my S3 just to get him back off rock stacks. Break that shield can make it easy. I'm also concentrating on S3s here with Guardian too, because I'm trying to build up his force field charges. Korg doesn't take shock damage, so I'm not getting some of that extra damage I normally would with Guardian. But if I get enough force field charges and launch an S2, I'll do more than enough damage with that. Again, you see how it gets restored in the rock shield. So you got to be careful with that. Just take your time. Korg, you got to be a little more passive and patient. You can really use any champ to beat him, although keep in mind, if you use other than light attacks while the shield is up, you will take damage. So I do recommend those energy-based attackers heavily, or even a mutant. And then unlike that S1, the S1 takes a little bit of practice to get used to dexing. That S2 is very straightforward, easy dex. And we see a nice fight there. And the strategy I use there, I'm going to use again on my next fight, but with a different champion, just to show you it's not just like a Guardian thing. That strategy works really energy-based, any energy-based attacker pretty much. Of course, play to their style. I was playing to Guardian style to build up those force field charges. Here I'm going to use the same basic strategy, although instead of playing to Guardian style, building up the force field, I'm going to play to Gambit style and try to get those prowess up. So again, I'm being careful when I stun while the shield is up. Once I shatter the shield, each hit takes away a shield charge. Once I shatter, then I can play a lot more aggressive. I know I'm going to parry once that shield is down. If the shield is up and I try to parry, I can't guarantee it's going to stun. Again, we're watching here as being cautious. Watch those rock stacks. Watch the unblockable. He went unblockable on me when I dex. I took a couple hits, and that can happen. So be careful. Every time you dex, that chance of unblockable, unstoppable does become existent. Here, although a lot of times I might try to work on S2s with Gambit, but based on running suicides, recoil damage, really rather try to minimize how much recoil I'm taking using 3 stars against R3 6 stars. Again, you see that evade and what happened, so that's why you don't just automatically evade Korg. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage when you block, so even if you're letting him hit into your block while you're waiting for an opening, under most circumstances it's not going to be too detrimental. Even as I'm using 3 stars, hitting into my block isn't really doing that much. So if you're using a more equal counterpart, it's going to do very, very little usually. So specials and unblockables that are going to get you though. And of course that thorn damage if you're using a non-energy based attacker. You can use non-energy based attackers for Korg. However, just focus on light attacks while the shield is up. Don't do mediums, which means you can't intercept in those cases. And you got to be careful in how you finish up combos if you do that. It does work, but you will be taking some damage most likely if you do use non-energy based. Somebody like Nammer is perfect, especially with the Max Sig. You could just go crazy on Korg with the Max Sig Nammer because he's not going to take damage back from those attacks based on his Sig ability. So again, the strategy I showed in both of these fights is going to work with pretty much any champ. Of course, it's going to be more effective with energy-based champs because you won't be taking that thorn damage there. So follow the strategies, practice dexing that X1, push him to S2 if you can. Be easier to dex if you have a hard time with the S1. Don't hit into his block. Be careful with the dexing. When you parry him, while the shield is up, be careful. He could just kind of shrug it off. So wait a millisecond before you expose yourself vulnerable. So I'm hoping this video helps. Don't forget to click that top left icon to subscribe to MCOC, AlBundyRules.